welcome. This is our UTech Training Center. I am Bruce Walter, Contractor Services Rep with Unilock Midwest. With me behind the camera is our infamous 𝐕-𝐸 Director of Training. The discussion that I wanted to have with you guys today was basically height adjustment with the Ucara cabinets. So there's a few things that I think are a definite positive to the system that I want to share with you guys. We also answer quite a few questions that involve the cabinet itself and adjusting heights with the cabinets. But before we get to that, I want to specifically discuss height adjustments with the fascia panels themselves. So I've laid up this corner here, and we've got some lippage going on here between our half panel and our closed end corner, all right? So one thing about the cabinets that I really like is I've got the ability with just some pliers or channel locks to be able to make that adjustment here on the metal. I typically only want to adjust one side, and potentially I could use some adhesive and things too, but I can elevate that fin simply and then fall back in alignment. I do like to elevate it a little bit more and then tap that down to the flush position. So a real easy adjustment without having to shim any of your fascia panels whatsoever, all right? So that's worked out nice. Now, more importantly, let's talk a little bit about how to adjust the cabinet height. So all the cabinets, grill islands, cabinets themselves are coming at a 42-inch height elevation. So let's say you want to make a 36-inch grill cabinet height, all right? How do you do that? How about if I want to fabricate a 24-inch fire table? How would we do that? Well, there's certain different techniques to do this, right? If you're having big access to aluminum welding skills and a MIG or a TIG welder, you potentially could re-weld the top plate. But recognize once I make these cuts here, I'm doing two things. I'm losing my fastener position, which is here on bottom and here on top. So any cut in between is going to eliminate that. So how do we deal with that issue? And then secondly is we're going to lose the strength from end to end. So basically, if you look at it, even like a 2x4 wall, you don't necessarily want to cut that right in the middle. Your top plate and your bottom plate actually give that wall strength, okay? Same thing here with the cabinets with these vertical elements too. Once I cut those, all right, I eliminate that strength that across front to back. So, yes, you could do some welding, all right, but I know that's a challenge, specifically here with aluminum. So, one technique that I like to do is here. We'll go through it real quick. I'll position myself. So, say I want to fabricate two different elements here. This would be a 24-inch potential fire table, a low-lying fire table, and then an 18-inch potentially planter box or fire table if you wish as well. Some low-lying feature, okay? So I will hang a panel. I'll do a mark on all of my vertical elements that are going to be cut. So I've got that here established, all right? And that's going to be my cut position. Now, as far as cutting the aluminum, a couple of options you have available to you. You could certainly use your cutoff saw, put a metal cutting blade on that, and that would work just fine. All right. I like the Sawzall. Sawzall works out very well. It makes a quick cut, which you can kind of see here. So once I've made these marks, and let me see if I can position this over in this corner here. Once I've made this mark, I need to reestablish some structure at that point, okay? So, a couple of things. I'm going to first, on my end clad kit, fill that in with a solid 2x plate. Now you're going to notice two are going to be installed, one below that line that I've marked and one above that line. So basically it's going to form a top plate for the lower unit and then the bottom plate for the upper unit, all right? Some things that are involved in the overall length of here, this base cabinet. We're going to do a little notch out for that 2x4, and the reason is I want my 3-inch screw to be able to connect these two. So I'm reestablishing a connection point in my corners, which I think is very important. I do notch out a little bit, and here, obviously with womanized 2x4s, I'm able to apply this material into the exterior environment, but I will notch out for the rib. All right, simply easy enough to cut that on your 2x4 structure. All right. So, the other thing that's important is here. You're gonna notice I'm reattaching this vertical piece into that metal. So we've drilled a hole in the aluminum. I put in a deck screw at that point. Same thing on all of your verticals all the way around. So we're attaching it and giving this strength here from corner to corner with the use of the 2x4s, all right? Also, again, because we've eliminated the connection point with the bolts, which we have on bottom and on top of the cabinet, we're gonna run through that 2x4 into the adjacent one to it, all right? So now I've got my corners basically tied in, and I'm doing that, making sure that I'm flush on that outside point. So, easy way to do that. Why don't you give me a minute to set this upper cabinet piece on, all right? Get back to you in just a second with the finished product.